Winston County, a woman there has died due to this extreme heat. Winston County Coroner Scott Gregory says a 74-year-old woman was mowing her yard when she had an apparent heart attack. She did have an extensive health history, but it's believed she got too hot while outside around 3 o'clock this afternoon. She was rushed to the emergency room where she was pronounced dead. Well, what began as a fun-filled trip to the movie theater ended up being a frightening trip to the hospital for a Louisville 2-year-old. 2 weeks ago, Alicia Williams dropped her daughter off at a local daycare. They were taking the kids to the movies that day. However, Williams' daughter never made it inside the theater. The 2-year-old daughter was left unattended in the back of the car for nearly 2 hours. Our Quentin Smith speaks with the mother. So, Quentin, how is the 2-year-old doing since this incident?
Well, Scott, her name is Harmony, and she's doing much better now. In fact, when I met her today, she was running around the yard with a big smile on her face. But for her mother, she's still upset. Harmony was left in the car for over an hour in the sweltering heat. Now, this mother wants answers. This is 2-year-old Harmony Williams. She's running around and enjoying some serious fun time with her cousins.
She's fun. She's just everywhere. Everybody loves her anywhere she goes. You know, she doesn't meet strangers.
Alicia Williams is Harmony's mother and says she's thankful to be able to hold her daughter in her arms again because just a few weeks ago, she received a scare that Harmony was rushed to the hospital.
I don't want any other parent to have to go through that, like ever. No parent should have to go through that.
2 weeks ago, Williams says she dropped her daughter off at House of Fame Daycare in Louisville. That day, the daycare was taking more than 24 students on a field trip to see The Lion King. When they got to the theater, all of the kids got out of the vehicle except for Harmony.
When I got there, they had her in the room, and I could, hear her crying, so I was relieved that she was crying. I knew she was okay because she was crying. And when I got in there, that's when the EMT lady told me that she had been left in the car for over 2 hours.
Williams says she was told the owner of the daycare eventually realized Harmony was missing and immediately went back to the car, which is where the 2-year-old was found.
I mean, I don't think she intentionally did it, but it was still carelessness at the end of the day, because, that's why you have protocols to do head counts and things like that when you have a business like that.
From the investigation, I think it was an accident. I think the daycare owner said it wasn't just a mistake. It was an accident.
But despite it being an accident, Williams is still seeking justice for her daughter. An investigation is now underway. The owner of the daycare has been summoned to appear in court for contributing to the neglect of a child charge. Now, this Louisville mother says she's hoping her scare prevents something like this from ever happening to another child.
I didn't feel like it was right for her to still have her daycare open until after, the investigation was closed, because she shouldn't have other kids, under her care until it was solved.
Now, Williams also filed a report with the State Department of Health regarding this incident. MSDH released this comment saying, in part, "We did receive a complaint and are investigating with our legal department. Once the investigation is complete, we will issue a report," end quote. Now, we also reached out to the owner of the daycare, and she says she does not want to comment on the matter at this time. The owner will appear in court on September 10th. Scott?
All right, Quentin, thank you very much. So glad to hear that Harmony is okay. Time now to get a first look at our forecast. Speaking of that heat, Keith, it's sticking around, unfortunately.
It sure is, Scott. We have this heat warning in effect for Tuesday, the entire viewing area, and that means the heat index could be over 110 degrees once again. The actual air temperature now in Columbus is 81. It feels like 88, calm wind. It's a sticky, sultry night here on our Monday across our region, with the actual temperature now cooling down into the upper 70s and low 80s, but the heat index is still flirting with the low to mid 90s in some spots. So a warm night, fans and AC needed, lows down into the mid to upper 70s, one of the warmest nights of the year. As I mentioned, very high heat indices tomorrow. The high will be somewhere around 97. We will have a chance for a few storms tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. We'll have more on that in just a few minutes.
Information on spending in the Hinds County School District has State Auditor Shad White alarmed. It comes as they start school district compliance audits around the state. Courtney Ann Jackson explains how that audit is now leading to an investigation.
Almost $50,000 of improper spending from the Hinds County School District's chief financial officer and assistant superintendent. That individual isn't named in the state auditor's report, but the district site lists Earl Burke as holding that position.
What we found is that individual has signed off on expenditures that benefited himself and did so without the proper approval.
Some of those examples, a $33,000 car allowance contract in the amount of $6,000 annually that's been paid since 2014 without board approval. He's also purchased nearly $2,000 in gas for his personal vehicle.
Ultimately, that is something that shortchanges teachers, it shortchanges the students in the district, it shortchanges the taxpayers.
We asked Auditor Shad White what has to happen to cross the line into an investigation.
If money has been spent improperly, meaning it was supposed to be spent on bucket A but was instead spent in bucket B, if money has been spent in that way and it benefited somebody personally and they benefited themselves knowingly, then you're moving into the world where you have potential criminal liability.
Other problems found include the district spending nearly $2 million on iPads and MacBooks without a competitive bidding process and not keeping proper checks on bank accounts or credit cards within the district. Hinds County School District says it will be taking steps such as revising district fiscal policies and conducting financial training with all district and school staff. Courtney Ann Jackson, WCBI News.
Speaking of schools, at schools across the state, there's something new on the syllabus this year. In the last legislative session, lawmakers passed a bill requiring schools to have active shooter drills. Our Stephanie Poole finds out how one school district is putting lessons into action.
Every school year, it seems like there are new codes, policies, and drills. This year, Mississippi legislators enforced the Mississippi School Safety Act of 2019, which requires all Mississippi schools to conduct an active shooter drill. Superintendent of Monroe County School District Brian Jernigan says school safety is a topic that grows every year.
It's increasingly receiving more and more attention because of the violence that we're seeing, the active shooting that's taking place. It's important that we do what we can do to ensure that our students and staff are as safe as possible.
School principals are responsible to develop and run the drill within the first 60 days of each new semester, including all students, teachers, and faculty.
It is a very emotional time. It's a time where people are on edge, because you don't always have the clear indicators of who may be a target or when you may be a target.
Jernigan says having this new drill in place will hopefully make people on school campuses pay attention to their surroundings and know a plan of action.
These type of events continue to surface and take place. It just heightens that awareness and certainly makes us really think through what else can we do.
Jernigan says it's heartbreaking to live in today's world knowing such a traumatic experience can happen anywhere at any time.
When I was going to school many years ago, this was really not an issue. I mean, things have changed so much during the time, and what a daily school business used to be is no longer there.
As the school days pan out, Jernigan wants to make sure all students, staff, and faculty are prepared for the worst.
It's very important that we respond to the culture of times.
House Bill 1283 also requires school employees to complete training or professional development course in mental health every 2 years.
In Vernon at Durham's Pharmacy, our Alpha Insurance camera shows this bright moon shining overhead tonight. Now, it's great to see the bright moon, but we have a meteor shower that's peaking tonight, the Perseids, so that will detract from a little bit of what we could see out there, but you still may see a few. Your full forecast is next.
Your WCBI First Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Our sultry sunset from Louisville, Mississippi this evening. Oh man, I don't know where the time lapse went, but you saw the sunset, you know it's hot, yada, yada, yada. That was our Monday. Hopefully you stay cool. You just need to drink plenty of water. Use the air conditioning if you can. If you have to go outdoors tomorrow on Tuesday, where the heat index could be as warm as 115, just limit your exposure to that sun. Protect yourself, lightweight, light-colored clothing, and contact your friends and elderly relatives and friends and bring your pets indoors too. Just make sure everybody's okay here with this dangerous heat. The actual temperature will be somewhere in the mid to upper 90s. So as I mentioned, there's this heat warning. We don't get too many of these throughout the course of the year, but the entire area is under this heat warning through tomorrow afternoon. And you can see we do anticipate widespread readings of at least 110 degrees as far as the heat index is concerned around here, not only locally but across the entire region. It is going to be hot. It is going to be humid. There's a little bit of relief coming our way. Some lower humidity by the middle of the week into the end of the week, but still plenty warm here. Widespread 90s, even mid-90s returning after a little brief respite there perhaps on Wednesday. Here's the front. Tomorrow, very sticky, and then the front will move on through. So this drier air will come on in with a northerly breeze starting Wednesday, but it's still going to be hot. Your Tuesday, anywhere from about 95 to 98. That's a good ballpark for the afternoon high. At 7 o'clock, already near 80. Low 90s, the mid 90s by noon. The heat index well into the triple digits even before the noon hour. Now, tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, especially across the northern tier of the area, this area outlined in green, we may see some gusty storms, a little bit of hail potential too. The strongest storms are likely just off to our northeast, and right now the strongest storms are up here in the Illinois. But there is a cold front back to the northwest, and that's the front that will be coming our way as we get into our day tomorrow, really late tomorrow into tomorrow night. So out ahead of it, partly cloudy. Can't rule out a stray storm, but the better rain chance is actually going to be with the front here going into the evening. There's the front, and there's that chance for some of these gusty showers and thunder showers. A lot of that fades away tomorrow night. The front will move on through, and then the best chance for redevelopment on Wednesday, likely just to our south. We'll start to see northerly winds develop on Wednesday. That will usher in this lower humidity, but still hot for the end of the week. So we're looking at 97 tomorrow, 90 Wednesday, 93 to 95 Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Still hot there, but not as humid, and a few more storms by Sunday.
An area community college is getting high marks for keeping healthy. We find out how they're doing it when we come back.
Followed by CW4 News at 9 with Scott Martin. You're watching WCBI News at 10 with Scott Martin.
Welcome back, everyone. The kids are all back in school, and you might be preparing the kiddos' lunch. We're talking about food safety tonight in our Health Talk with Baptist.
Hi, I'm Libby Walker, the Morrison Director of Food and Nutrition at Baptist Memorial Hospital Golden Triangle. Tonight, I want to talk to you about food safety. There are many factors that can affect food safety. Foodborne bacteria can't be seen, tasted, or smelled, but these microorganisms can make you sick if ingested, and they spread through contact with cutting boards, utensils, countertops, hands, and food. But there are ways you and your family can stay healthy if you follow some specific food safety recommendations. Use an insulated cooler filled with ice or frozen gel packs. Frozen food can also be used as a cold source. Foods that need to be kept cold include raw meat, poultry, and seafood. Deli and luncheon meats or sandwiches, summer salads such as tuna, egg, pasta, or seafood, cut up fruit and vegetables, and perishable dairy products. A full cooler will maintain its cold temperature longer than a partially filled one. If you are using a cooler, keep it out of the direct sun by placing it in the shade or shelter. Avoid opening your cooler repeatedly so that your food stays colder longer. When cooking on the grill, use separate cutting boards and utensils for raw meat and ready-to-eat items like vegetables or bread. Keep perishable food cold until it is ready to cook. Use a food thermometer to make sure meat and poultry are thoroughly cooked to their safe minimum internal temperatures. Always use a fresh, clean plate and tongs for serving cooked food. Never reuse items that touch raw meat or poultry to serve the cooked food. Join us next time for our Health Talk with Baptist, where we will talk about handling food safely while traveling.
Mail your topic suggestions to healthtalk@wcbi.com. Health Talk has been brought to you by Baptist Memorial Hospital Golden Triangle.
Northeast Mississippi Community College is named the healthiest workplace among the state's colleges and universities. NEMCC was tops in a competition sponsored by a group of organizations, including the Mississippi Business Journal, the Mississippi Business Group on Health, and the State Department of Health. The community college has spearheaded many health-related initiatives, including health and fitness classes at the Burgess Activity Center.
It's not about winning the award, but it's about Northeast providing a healthy workplace and work environment for our employees and giving them an opportunity to learn how to create a healthy workplace.
We have several hundreds of community members currently at Burgess Fitness Center, and we think of them as a separate cohort, and we try to serve them in any way we can. like I said earlier, we want this movement to trickle out into our community, then ultimately in our 5-county district.
NEMCC has partnered with local schools to host fitness classes in the public school system. The high school football tour continues in New Hope. More on the Trojans as they prepare for battle this season, coming up right after the break.
Here's sports on WCBI.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Chris Bolton. Just 10 days away from the start of the high school football season, stop number 50 on the high school football tour checks in with the New Hope Trojans. Plenty of experience returning for the Trojans, and they'll need it as they face the challenge of moving up to Class 5A.
WCBI's 60 Schools in 60 Days is brought to you by Sparklight.
The saying, experience is the best teacher, held true for a very young New Hope team in 2018. The Trojans finished 1-11, but the win clinched a playoff spot, and head coach Wade Tackett saying his team's best game came in the hard-fought postseason loss to Senatobia. But heading into 2019, Tackett says 30 players return with game experience, eager to keep last season in the past.
We worked really hard this offseason. That's a credit to these guys wanting to get better, not being satisfied with the way last season went, and also being hungry from getting that experience, getting that playing time, and knowing what they have coming back, and they have a really good shot of winning a few more ball games this year.
Last year we had a lot of young people, and like they ain't have no playing time and stuff, so they got a little bit in it last season. And we just trying to come back harder this season.
Our biggest strengths is our receivers, because most of them got a lot of playing time and they're ready to play. Most of them young and they still coming up, but they're ready to play.
Another big strength for the Trojans, returning running back Braylon Miller. After racking up more than 1,300 yards on the ground in 2018, Miller is setting the bar high this fall.
Confident-wise, it give me and my guys, we can go in 5A, we can do better than last year. We come to go this year, 2,000 yards or more. We got to come with it this year, this our last year.
New Hope will be faced with a tough task in 2019, moving up to Class 5A in a division that features 3-time defending state champion West Point Green Wave.
Probably the toughest division in 5A, maybe one of the toughest divisions in all of Mississippi football, with West Point, Lafayette, Grenada, Lake Cormorant, Saltillo, and Columbus coming down from 6A to 5A. It's not going to be an easy task.
We just got to treat it just like 4A. There's got to be a lot more competition, but we can overdo it.
The Trojans kick off 2019 at home with a rivalry showdown against Caledonia. With New Hope on the high school football tour, Tom Ebel, WCBI Sports.
60 Schools in 60 Days with New Hope High School was brought to you by G&G Remodeling.
The high school football tour continues tomorrow with stop number 51 checking in on the Feds in Caledonia. For stop number 52 on Wednesday, we'll see how the Bulldogs in New Albany are looking. Then on Thursday, stop number 53 features the defending 4A state champs, the Louisville Wildcats. Then on Friday, we check out Lafayette for stop number 54. And if you miss any of the stops along the way, you can always watch them on our website at WCBI.com. Fall camp continues in Oxford for the Rebs as they get ready to start the season. This past Saturday, the team held a scrimmage. There were some good takeaways from the matchup for both sides of the ball as the offense and defense continue to adjust to new systems. Now, after losing playmaking receivers A.J. Brown and D.K. Metcalf on the outside, the Rebs hoping the offense that can play at different paces can keep the offense strong heading into the season.
Being able to mix tempos is a weapon. It's a weapon for an offense. You don't always have to play fast, but when you decide to go fast and you can change speeds, whether you're coming out of a huddle, whether you're going from slow to fast, anytime there's a change of pace is a challenge for the defense. So I think that's it's a good mixture, and it's in our tool belt, and we can pull it out when we need it.
The rollouts is coming along really well. You know, just getting the timing down on it, getting the ball out on a certain amount of steps we need to take. And just really getting the chemistry with the back shoulders, the fades, the rub routes, you know, all that stuff. And I feel like we've done a good job of getting a lot of reps in that.
All the coaches are kind of rotating it and making different guys have be in tough situations that they wouldn't normally be in, but just to build depth.
The Rebs kick off the season August 31st on the road against nearby rival Memphis. That's all we have for sports. We'll have a last look at your forecast coming up after the break.
More heat, more humidity tomorrow, Scott. 97, a chance for some late storms, and then the humidity level will drop Wednesday, Thursday, Friday now. Still going to be hot, but the humidity won't be as bad as what we will deal with tomorrow, where the heat index could be over 110.
Oh, God.
I know. Was
it earlier today? It was like 117 out west. It was like in Grenada or something like that.
Yeah, out in the Delta, extremely hot.
Jesus, that is just too much and too dangerous.
It's pretty rough right now.
So make sure to drink some Gatorade, water especially, if you're going to be outside.
Water's key.
All right, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great night. Stay cool. We'll see you tomorrow.